Trivikram Garu, thank you for mentioning the Baramulla review from the point of view of Indian aesthetics. Yes, I teach Indian aesthetics, and it's very fascinating to note that your movie Chiquita had many of the same fantastic elements that you've brought together so beautifully. Off the bat, I can think of Auchitya, not one moment that strayed off into Anauchitya. Everything was so beautifully put together and tastefully done, and that is Auchitya. And then I can think of Dhwani right there, because there are many topics, and these are very sensitive, deep topics also. But you touched on them, and you knew when to stop. You didn't go over the top with it, screaming about getting one point of view across. And that again was so tastefully done, as well as Dhwani being you allowed the viewer to take the message and to put things together like a puzzle in his or her own head. And that is, I think, Dhwani done so beautifully. Then every element, the lighting, the cinematography, everything came together, the gunas and the riti, I guess. So came together so beautifully that we didn't notice any, obvious seam over there. It was seamless. So these are some of the things I noticed. And the rasa, we can't forget that. A very important point in the movie Chiquita, though, that the rasa, not over the top. You had all the emotions, so many emotions, but the execution was, I thought, very Western.
Okay.
You can have all the navarasas, but the way we execute in Indian movies is typically a little over the top. Depends on your viewpoint. It is good also, because we are from that tradition of dramatics, theater. But this was very, very subtly portrayed. So I would say I found all the rasas, but executed and put together in a very Western sort of framework, which also appeals to the Western audience. So
thank you so
much. I thought it was beautiful.
Like
and
it's very nice to hear the review in terms of rasas and all that. It's very new.
Do you think of these things? Do you think in these aspects when you make, or is it something that you're going to evolve through?
No, but generally this filmmaking, the story writing, screenplay has some template for feature films. Like you need to have some highs, some lows, and some crisis, pre-climax, climax, all these things. And when I made my first film, I missed a lot of these parameters because I was completely self-made filmmaker. I didn't go through any formal education. But then I started learning, and even Chiquita, for example, we could have made it as a simple, in an ideal world, I would have made it as a simple drama, one scene after the other. But I'm afraid that I will lose the attention of the audience. So I switched back and forth. If you see the music, generally when there is a Western movie and Indian context, the typical way of approaching music is you play tabla and sitar, because those are the two instruments they are very familiar with.
Correct.
But we didn't want to do that when he encounters Devi for the first time, because one, we wanted to try something different, and two, he doesn't even know that she's Devi. She's just another little girl for him. So we used some Western beats and all that, did some techno beats, and we were so underconfident, like, will people not accept this? Maybe we can go with Veena, maybe we can blend it. But then we said, it's okay, let's try it. And it really worked out well, especially when he first time encounters Devi. But the second time when he talks about Devi, we used the Manu Vidya, Chandra Vidya from Lalita Sahasranama. So that was also very beautiful, because now he knows that she's Devi. He has that respect and reverence, and music like that makes sense. Yeah. So to answer your question,
these are all. Yeah, these are all the things that an average viewer, you need to watch it twice or thrice. I have watched the movie thrice, which is
so that's
which is a record for me, because I don't watch movies.
It's both a compliment and also a complaint, because movie is meant to be for masses, right? The moment they see, but of course each movie is different. But if you have to reach wider audiences with these stories, then you have to do it in a way they're ready to consume. So it's a give and take. We can, if it's a hobby, totally fine. If it's documentary meant for film festivals, that's totally fine. But we are trying to be in the mainstream film.
Correct.
So yeah.
But let me clarify that the reason I watched it thrice is to be able to talk to you about it in a
I know,
knowledgeable
I know.
way.
I would take it as
Not because I didn't get it. So it is very mainstream and beautifully made. I would go so far as to say, right now we are in pre-Durandar and post-Durandar phase, right? That is like the benchmark now.
Yes.
So I mean, I have no hesitation in saying that I think Chiquita is like the Dhurandhar of the cross-cultural short films category.
That's a very generous comparison. Thank you for that. But in that context, I would like to bring up the point that we were discussing earlier. Like, so I was also wondering, like, why some movies, in spite of all the good intentions, fail, and why some movies work. What is that is happening? So when I made my first film, I had a lot of these questions, and then I realized that you must respect art. The art is much 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 bigger than the message that you want to say. By that I mean, when you have good casting, good production quality, good music, good characterization, good character arcs, and good screenplay, when all these things come together, the message automatically gets conveyed. But if you're just hell-bent on saying things loud, uh, without focusing on other crafts of the movie, but just on a strong dialogue and trying to rub it on the face of audience, then they will reject it. In case of Durinder, for example, some people might not accept the things that are portrayed in the movie, but they won't say it's a bad movie. This has been happening in Malayalam and Tamil film industry for so long. They make movies so convincingly that even if you don't agree with them, you would love to watch the film. An average film lover would love to go and watch the film in theater. But that was not happening with a lot of other movies in spite of their good intentions. But now with Durandar, I think they have reached that scale and skill where everyone wants to watch the film. They may agree or they may not agree. That comes as the second part. Yeah.
So basically, I also wanted to, now that we brought it up, I wanted to ask whether cinema is purely an art or cinema is a narrative tool, or what does the filmmaker want to do when he's making a movie, basically.
So for people who are trying to make films because they're so passionate about it, yes, they want to tell stories that they like, but at the same time there is something called market. Because if you don't meet the market expectations, unlike you are the trendsetter, like you are one of that 1 million guy who can tell something very uniquely, like it's an already known story but you can still present it well, that's a different story. But 99% of the filmmakers are not like that. So their life is at stake, like in any other job. They spend a decade in making 1 or 2 movies, and they may not be hit. Even if the first movie is hit, the second movie might not happen. Even if it happens, no one might recognize it. That happens to even prominent directors, especially now with so many newcomers coming into the market. You got to meet audience at some point. You have to. So it is like you will still tell the same thing that you want to tell, but in a way that they want to listen. You can tell whatever you want, but there is this distinction of, you have a seed idea, but you have the story and execution. The seed idea is still yours, but the execution and story must be for wider audience if you are trying to reach wider audience. Otherwise, like I mentioned, as a hobby, you can do whatever you want, and sometimes they become trendsetters. So we have to meet.
What is an example of a movie like that? Somebody did it purely as a hobby, but it became a trendsetter.
Okay, that way. So I don't know if it's a hobby, but a lot of these directors, for example, say Quentin Tarantino in Hollywood, or they just come up with something new. I mean, they don't think about what is already running in the market and all that. I mean, for example, I would take in Telugu Arjun Reddy. So when Arjun Reddy came, it's the story of already known, like a love failure story basically, but it was presented in a much, it was packaged and presented in a whole different way. The people who are not used to seeing that movies, such kind of movies which are violent and has a lot of bad language, all that, even they were able to enjoy something about the movie. So that's because they were so confident in their head that no matter what I tell people, I will make people sit and watch. Any other director with any other production qualities, chances are very slim. Yeah,
So the aesthetics do play a role.
100%. Yes.
When you have the aesthetics right, it just makes it so much easier to even convey a message that you want to convey. But you
Yeah.
get the aesthetics wrong, the best message can fall flat on its face.
Yeah, so that's the ongoing the what is it, a trend of why Telugu movies work out especially when it is in the mythological or in the historical context or in the spiritual or religious context. Telugu movies or South Indian movies work better than the North Indian movies. It's because they have all the technology and all the market, but somehow that pulse, that understanding, that finer details. Even today, when the Ramayana teaser comes out, people still think the Varanasi could have something better to offer emotionally. So both are equally important, but definitely without technical values, no one is even going to pay attention to your movie. Very rare, very rare. It could happen, but very rare. Without technical qualities, people say, "Hey, it's only you have everything. You have the cameras, you have the laptop. Why don't you do it in a very minimal budget?" But gone are those days. People are used to watching something of high quality.
Yeah. Yeah. See, so Hollywood is considered to be, I mean, a person like Vikram Sood has written that Hollywood is used as a narrative building tool to propagate American exceptionalism, their story, whatever it is,
Yeah.
So, my fundamental question is cinema's purpose also somewhere that, somewhere I know you spoke about individual
Yeah,
want
I
and
came from the
individual,
filmmaker's perspective, but what you're talking
yeah,
about it is a higher level from top down, right? Someone
correct,
could be, for sure, someone could be doing that because everyone to normalize something, just like the ad films. Like you wouldn't drink so much Coke or you wouldn't eat so much sugar unless they present it that way, right? So yes, for sure, with these commercials and movie making also getting mixed nowadays, you know that the ads are being placed in the movies, like what hero
true,
is drinking and all that.
yeah, yeah.
So definitely people are using movies as tools. Maybe once upon a time art was used as art for that finer dimension of life, but now everything is mingled with commerce and pushing their own ideas. So for sure, like Durandar, Pakistanis could be seeing that Indians are pushing their agenda onto us. That could be their perspective. So yeah, it could be happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mean to say that it wasn't so, but it is turning out like that now?
Yeah, I would believe so, because when we are making Charlie
Okay.
Chaplin movies or when Kings were funding the art, it was not that, it was just the entertainment part. But
Okay.
even then, uh, see, I think it's sometimes natural, sometimes very forced, because what do you write? You write about, sometimes you write about the kings, you write about their history, you present it well. When the Okay, just to go even over and say that a lot of things about filmmaking are not true, right? They're all exaggerated versions of reality. Whether they are ads or this, or even the marketing of the film, everyone knows that when they see the film in the dubbing studio, they understand that this movie is not going anywhere. But when they come for the audio function, they say, "Oh man, this is one of the best films you're going to watch. Come and watch." Because if they don't do that, they're going to lose
They
all.
already know that. Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Many a times they already
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that.
I
For sure,
see.
during the making itself, the vibe in the film set, and they call these technicians, some of the distributors who have contacts, who are doing the final touches on the films. They call them and ask, "Hey, how is this film? Do you think I can buy it?" So they already get the talk of the film, but still, if there is a standard market for that hero, they will go and buy it and negotiate it for that price. So it's a job for someone, just like it's.
Okay.
Wonderful perspectives.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, there could be so much that we could just purely talk about filmmaking,
Yeah,
which would all be very interesting. Yeah, but all right. So, all the very best, and we shall catch up with you soon.
Sure. Okay.